No, it's fine. Don't worry. Got it. Well, that's better. Already had the brew. Who was it that said, and I've lost, I'm not sure I've lost it. Hang on. I know what I can do. I can be really clever and that should happen. Right, you wrong-uns. Hopefully, while everyone gets their feet under the table, you cheeky tarts. There's been so Adi Blackmore, hi Adrian. So all the comments from the other live that I've had to bin because something really weird was going on. It was telling me that I didn't have a connection. There was no audio, no video, no nothing. So I switched my phone off and started it a couple of times again, and it still didn't work. So I've had to redo it all. Hopefully, those that were there was quite a few people there, will be able to regain entry. It looks very dark tonight. Possibly my eyesight. It's live 33. Fingers crossed. Right, let's go through very quickly some of the comments because I don't want to take all night with the comments. But please do comment while we're talking because there's lots to talk about. And I'm going to tell you a story that I've never told you before. About my time, the first time I got sacked from a phone-in. Because we're going to talk about Dan Wotton. What do you mean, Dan who? So this is live 33. Adi Blackmore sent a letter to Jim and Fix It, and I wanted to be shot into space. Adi, I did Jim will fix it. Jim said he would fix it for me to milk a cow blindfold. Didn't drink it. Wiggy videos 30. Now then. CM training, the Savile song. CM, I will reply to your email eventually. Just give me a couple of days. 1, 2, Savile's coming for you. 3, 4, better lock your door. 5, 6, grab the dead. 7, 8, Jimmy's going to fix it for you. 9, 10, he's now dead. That thing though, grab the dead. I mean, we all knew, didn't we? We all knew. The rumours were he does things to dead people. Never mind, I can see dead people. CM training, are we all wrongin'? Yeah. Hey, Blackmore, are you out? You lot having like a really bizarre conversation while I'm not watching. Kevin Iverson, evening, you're wrongin'. CM training, evening, Kevin. Andy Turner, I knew I was an unwanted baby when I saw that my bath toys were a toaster and a radio. Ouch, Andy. Adi Blackmore, evening all. Wiggy, a wrong rightin' or a right wrongin'? No, a right wrongin' completely. Dame Anna, oh, the boss is late. So I think I was talking to the camera and you couldn't see me. Evening, Dame Anna. The Bovril. I'm in, you wrong'uns. And I wasn't the Bovril. Rusty Mouse, we are awaiting the AA getting us hibiscus tea. I think I need a coffee tonight, not hibiscus tea. Andy Turner, radio listeners are voyeurs, lurking, invisible, eavesdropping. Blimey, Andy, that's a bit deep. Rich, hey up, you're wrongin'. Hold on to your seats, it's Adrian Allen time. Shall we dance? Adi Blackmore, George Savile, the footy player. Oh, it's part of his family. He was the youngest of 7, wasn't he, Savile? Jimmy. He was the youngest of 7. So he died when he was 84. Oh, no. Unless they're like grandchildren or kind of the next generation. But Savile was the youngest and he went when he was 84. Adrian is late because he's had to finish the washing up. He's a good boy. Tee-hee. The Bovril. I did actually. We had dinner. Dinner tonight was lovely. You don't want to, me talking about my dinner or anything, but I always enjoy washing up with the new Mrs. Allen, simply because we're connecting. We're eating and chatting, and then we do the washing up, and everything's fine. Rusty Mouse, his tea hasn't brewed yet. I definitely didn't do the brew tonight. Rich, that was too funny. It did make me laugh out loud. It's the on button, Adrian. You're right there, Rich. Lauren Taylor. Kaz987. Wiggy Videos 13. Oh, technical stuff. Oops. And Towel Block Tracy. Should we all chuck in a quid for the meter? Here we go. CM training. My mother nursed his brother, and female nurses always had to be accompanied. Really? Savile was also questioned as the Yorkshire Ripper. Strange he was later mates with him. Yeah, CM. Thank you for, I think it was you that sent me the pic of Frank Bruno. Bless him. I mean, Frank was a big old unit, Frank Bruno. And he, and Savile dwarfed compared. And then there's growing up in the Northeast, I mean, the Yorkshire Ripper stuff. I can't remember whether I've told you this, but me and my dad lived on an estate, and Wearside Jack, they thought that the Yorkshire Ripper was Wearside Jack, and the Yorkshire Ripper lived on one of 3 estates in Sunderland. And me and my dad, we had to give statements and DNA, and I was picked up by the police one night walking back to me house. They thought I was the Yorkshire Ripper, but looking at the Yorkshire Ripper, he was diddly. I mean, I know Frank Bruno was a big old unit, but he's at least 1.5 feet taller than the Yorkshire Ripper. And because we didn't know who it was, we thought that this Yorkshire Ripper guy was like a big, strong, dark, foreboding figure. He's diddly. Not that I would go and, have a dance. Rich, it's like watching GB News. Oh dear. Do they have technical issues? And AD needs to charge his phone. Andy Turner, plugging it in. Yeah. You're all, look, Wiggy Videos, Battenberg's at the ready. Right, I've had enough of that. Tracy, what it's called is an idiot error. That'll be enough for tonight, you wrong'uns, because, right, where are we? Simon John Lavender, evening, you wrong'un. Evening, Simon John. Tower Block Tracy, yo, Andy Turner. Hello, big lad. John, One Kenobi, it's incontinence when you follow through. Be right back. Oh, John. Andy Turner, look at that face, made for radio. It's made me fortune. Sean, how do Adrian? And it was the Battenberg on your fingers. Simon John, that really is. Phil Sumner, the home of sanity and reason. No lefty woke wrong'uns here, I hope. Love you, Adrian. Love you, Phil. Rich, hi all. The motorcycle restorer, yo, Adrian. Anything else of any interest? Chasing 28, Smith 12. Hello, Mr. Allen. Hello. Dayman is back. Did you get sacked because your IT sucked? There was no sucking going on, Daymana, and it wasn't my IT. Although somebody did. Do you want me to tell you it now, or can I do it when I do bits about Dan Wotton? Because I want to get straight in. Everybody's got their feet under the table, including me. Oh, no. I mean, my connection seems stable. The Ramblings of a Madman. Good evening. And do you know Ramblings of a Madman? I check some of the people that come and comment on my videos and stuff. And I checked out your channel. You're an inspiration, is all I can say. I've seen some of your videos. And they are tremendous. They are tremendous. I've seen your most recent ones. And all I can say, Ramblings of a Madman, you are simply an inspiration. wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And I would like to talk to you away from YouTube and away from all of this, because, wow, your videos are so powerful, so powerful. Peter Aaron, Seville looked like one of the Walking Dead himself towards the end. Yeah, he did a bit, all hunched over. Fatal Racing Driver, hello. Disaster Area, evening all. Blimey, newbies in the house tonight. Sean, is he reading some other chat? Yes, I was. The what I read out originally on this live were the comments that began the other live, where I couldn't. It just was something weird was going on. Very weird. Right, we'll leave those. Karen Boo UK. Oh, you're wrong. First time joining in a live. Oh, Karen, welcome, welcome to the live. It's always lively, because. And I don't monetize this, so I can speak freely to you, and you can comment freely, and we can talk about adult stuff, and we can have conversations that need to happen. They need to happen. We can talk about whether it's the Middle East crisis, we can talk about the jailing, we can talk about the politicians not doing as they should, and we can talk about anything, even some of the celeb stuff. We can talk, as I will do, with Dan Wootton. So, Karen, good to have you on board. And Ramblings of a Madman, you are most welcome, sir. You are most welcome. So the next live, tonight is 33. I've got my maths wrong. Tonight is 33. The next one, Nicola Mooney. Evening, Adrian. Evening, Nicola. The next one is, where are we? This is Wednesday, so it'll be Sunday. Sunday, 8 o'clock. Don't forget that I'm on Twitter, and I'm going to start being quite active on Twitter. Sorry, X. Because I can just comment about stuff that's going on quicker and easier, because it's not monetized, X, so I can just get away with that. It's at Adrian Allen, my full name, at Adrian Allen. It's that simple. So if you're on X or Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, then please follow. I'll follow you back, so then we can you can keep up to date with stuff that I know. So I just want to let you know, I was living in wow. John One Kenobi, personally, I've never been so fearful of the powers that be, and I know Anakin Skywalker. Yeah, I think there's a lot of... I am going to talk about the Middle East conflict, because it's a PR war. This is not the traditional type of war that we would have known, or maybe aware of, maybe going back to the Falklands, or even Desert Storm. This is a completely different war, but I want to take my time getting into that. It's Storm Babet. I've no idea what that is, but it's a storm that's coming, and Scotland have been put on red alert Thursday and Friday. Thursday into Friday, they're saying that it's going to be Armageddon in Scotland, and the Scots are laughing, because I lived in Scotland for 10 years and there was Hurricane Borbag. I'm not explaining that Scottish word. If you're Scottish, you know what I've just said. If you don't, I'm not explaining it. Borbag. Replace the W with 2 L's. It was called Hurricane Borbag because it literally was just felling, not trees, houses. It was completely and utterly, and there was nothing going on in England. Nothing. It just went across sort of the central belt of Scotland, from Glasgow all the way out east into the North Sea. And it was... I mean, people died, sadly, but it was just bringing houses down. Yeah, exactly, Rich. The Scots will just put the big coats on. I know, I was there. I mean, we were dealing with what was happening, and I mean, it was incredible. It was breathtaking what was going on. And the Scots just laughed. They just laughed out. It was a bit windy. It wasn't even cold. Wore a t-shirt, just a bit windy. And like the newspapers are telling us, there's going to be all kinds going on in Scotland. It's Storm Babet. It's come across from America. Oh, it's going to be terrible. And I'm just going to sit in my garden. I'll put a t-shirt on, maybe a pair of shades, and laugh like I'm a maniac. Because it's not. The newspapers, oh, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be terrible. It's like beginning of every December. Who was it? The Express, the Daily Express, or somebody go, oh, Snowmageddon. And then it doesn't snow. I mean, I get really disappointed. Bit of a skier. Shite at it, but a bit of a skier. And I look forward to the snow. It makes me feel at home. It makes me feel like I'm back in Sunderland, where it's freezing cold all the time. So, exactly. Kaz 987, just a wee breeze. I know. Can you remember Hurricane Borbag? I mean, it was. I don't think I've experienced anything like that, to be fair. Not in England, certainly. But it was just, yeah. All the Scots just put the big coat on. So, Hurricane Borbag, or Storm Babet, is coming. And it's World Menopause Day. How do I know it's World Menopause Day? Because all the women are saying, is it me or is it hot in here? Yeah, you're right there, Kevin. You only have to sneeze in London and you get a red alert. World Menopause Day. And we lads get away with it. I mean, we get away with so much. The women have it tough. I mean, the women have to give birth. We just have to stand there and pat their hands and go, go on, darling, you know what you're doing. I don't. I'm going to go and have a cigar when you're finished. All of that malarkey. So the women are infinitely... See, Moon Maria, stop it. Oh, I think I've been told off. But I just want to say this. So the reason why I understand it's World Menopause Day, but the headlines in the papers today have been saying that women should get free menopause checks at the age of 40. Well, women in my family were perimenopausal and menopausal in their late 30s. They had the menopause early. My mum, one of my sisters. Now, I know that the girls are offered, midlife MOTs, but I'm a cynical old tart. I don't, whatever I'm told by the mainstream media, I just don't believe it. I only believe the price on the front, and sometimes then I question it because they said that the sun was going to go up to £1 a time. The money grabbing wrong-uns. Nearly swore there. But it's just... I'm just wondering, are Big Pharma involved in this? Because there's this, Davina McCall's doing stuff about it, or the celebrity women are talking about it, which is brilliant, which is wonderful, because that's how we should deal with it. Let's communicate. Let's talk. We are one species, human race, humanity. Why don't we talk about things? And, Lauren Taylor, have you never heard of the male menopause? Give me a bloody break. Hang on, we don't have men-opause. That's when we go down to the shed. It's a man-opause. We just leave life and just go down to the shed. Every man should have a shed. Every man. Where nobody can gain entry. So, the reason why I say that we should all communicate. We should never be afraid or embarrassed to talk about things that are affecting us. This is 2023, for goodness sake. But a big pharma going to come out in like 6 months and go, oh, we've invented a pill. Every woman can take this pill for the rest of their life and they won't have to suffer from menopause. Is that what it's about? Look at the last 3.5 years with the jibber jabber. That's what I was alluding to at the beginning of this. Andrew Bridgen stands up in Parliament the 20th of this month. So, hang on, what's 18th, 19th? Friday. He stands up in Parliament on Friday and asks the House for the data for excess deaths. I mean, the Pfizer share is going through the floor at the moment. Andrew Bridgen is going to stand up in the Houses of Parliament on Friday. I'm going to watch it live, and he's going to ask some very, very pointy questions. And the minister has to answer him in the House. He's going to stand up for about 20 minutes. Hayden, you're wrong. Menopause, it's not a button on the DVD player. So I'm just letting you know. I'm not sure what time it's going to be, but I'll try and give you an update as to what's going on, what questions he asks, and what responses he gets from the minister. But that's on the 20th. So, on World Menopause Day, Dame Anna, there is a pill. It's called HRT. Yeah, I get that, Dame Anna. But the side effects of HRT. Some women are very nervous about taking it. Some women steadfastly refuse to take it. Some women have actually said that what they were affected by afterwards was worse than the menopause and was pretty serious. I'm not going to say scary words or anything, but it's Yeah, Jip Atkinson, HRT, breast cancer, I heard. Me too. And there's breast cancer in my family. So, GB Patriot, I'm going to get to that. I am going to get to that because I have been to Israel a couple of times. Number one on my bucket list was Jerusalem, above any other place on planet Earth. To physically stand in Jerusalem was number one on my bucket list. And Mrs. Allen, the new Mrs. Allen, was just so fantastic and wonderful and made my dream come true. And got me to go to Jerusalem. So I will take it because I will talk about the Middle East conflict, but not just yet, because I've witnessed things in Israel. I know that it's a big enough country, but a small enough country. And there are some points that people have missed. So yes, GB Patriot, I will talk about that in a second. I see Greta Thunberg. She's now 20. Blimey. Middle-aged. She's 20-year-old now. She's been arrested and charged today. She's been giving some speech at some oil protest today. Do you know what I think? The Doom Goblin. She's a bit rotund for a vegan. Do you not think? And also, I think she's got a penchant for handcuffs. This is not the first time she's been arrested. This is not the first time she's been in handcuffs. So I reckon she's got a penchant for handcuffs and uniforms. But is this one fake or real? Sure, stop it. It'll get us all thrown out. Is this fake or real? Because the last one, she was posing. It was fake. This one, well, we'll wait and see. Because Johnny Rosa, he's got to come out. She's been arrested and charged. So we won't talk about whatever she was doing today because she's been charged. So technically it's subject to sub judice. But she's a bit round for a vegan, do you not think? Just saying. Must be plenty of bread. Seamoon Maria, what's the difference between God and a consultant? God doesn't think he's a consultant. That's very good. That's very good. So I'll give you an update on the phone-in, because there is a phone-in coming. And I want to say thank you to Yongji and to the Scarlet Pimpernel, who are busying away in the background. I've had a meeting today, and we're looking at, it's the technicalities. It's the way a phone-in works on commercial radio. BBC's not really, they don't have delay on the BBC, so you can get away with saying anything. They do in commercial radio, and normally when you call somebody like LBC, any of my phone-ins, you would get through to my Oppo through the glass, or the producer, which is a bit highfalutin. I just used to call him Stud Muffin. So Stud Muffin would answer the phones, and you would ring, oh, hello, I want to speak to Adrian. And he would go, okay, what do you want to talk to him about? What you got to say? And he would kind of go through stuff, but not too much, because if you ring somebody and then you say what you're going to say, you don't really have that edge, that energy when you go through to the presenter. So we're just looking at the technicalities of how to make things work in a traditional way with a phone-in. I know some other people have their versions of phone-ins, but for me, I want it to be professional. And I just want it to be the way that it should be, a proper phone-in where people, it's a place where people can talk about anything. So my phone-in will be any subject at any time. Any subject, any time. But technically, we've got to look at all of that. So it's a bit of a head scratcher. And I say thank you to Alex, who's gone away to scratch his head. I do appreciate it. So talking about phone-ins, here, where's Dan Wootton? Where's Dan Wootton? He's not like my mate Mark Dolan, whom I've known for a long time. I taught him some tools and skills when I was his boss at what was it called? Liberty 963. I might have changed his name, but Mark was there as a 19, 20-year-old, and so I've known Mark for a long time. I think he may be covering Dan Wootton's slot. But where's Dan Wootton gone? And I've heard that he's legged it. He's legged it to New Zealand. Now, I've told you before on the lives, you can't really trust what the media tell you. I know, it's a stuck record. And what the companies have to do, what the mainstream media have to do, is they have to make sure that you continue to watch, you continue to listen, you continue to interact with their channel. So what they normally do is, and this happened to me in 1989, that's how long I've been doing phone-ins. I was doing a phone-in on a radio station in the northeast of England called TFM, and it was the most successful phone-in in the station's history, if I may be so bold. So I had, I'll give you the long story. It's quite involved, but it's a good story. Yeah, he's had to get his passport from behind the washing machine. The Jacobite, that's funny. So I think what's happened is Dan's legged it to New Zealand because it was getting a bit hot. The heat was on him. And what GB News will do is say nothing. Just say nothing. Because then people will still watch and go, what's happened to Dan Wootton? Well, we'll need to watch to see what's going on. And they'll pretend that he doesn't exist anymore. If there's no questions to ask, a bit like Holly and Phil, if there's no questions to answer, then it'll all just go away. And Dan's legged it to New Zealand. Maybe he's taking a sabbatical. Maybe he's taking 6 months off. Who knows? Because they haven't said anything. They don't want to say, Dan Wootton has left the building. So, my phone in on TFM. Figures were quite big. And at that time in 1989, you were very rarely, any more than maybe 8 phone-ins around the whole country outside of London. So you'll have Newcastle, Teesside, Liverpool. I think Alan Beswick was doing either Manchester or Preston. And you would have had some of the other lads in Manchester and then in Birmingham. So there was, and James Whale in Leeds and Yorkshire. So there was a few people around. But late night phone-ins were a big deal. So with Dan Wootton, say nothing. Nobody will find out. So I got sacked from TFM. And I got sacked because, and I made page 5 of the Sun, Daily Mirror, and I was Mr. Smut on the radio. Because what happened was somebody called in and wanted to talk about something, and I said, oh, well, if anybody's, it was, ladies of the night, should we call them? And I said, oh, I've never spoken to one. I'm a bit naive. I've never spoken. If you're on the game, give us a call. And she did. So we had about 20 minutes on air. I was just asking her what she did and how she did it and where she did it and why she did it and all the usual journalistic questions and how much she charged. And she said, oh, 25 quid. And you're joking. She said, no, 25 quid for oral sex, 50 quid for full sex. And I said, 25 quid for head. That's a rip-off. And this was 1989, a very, very, very different time. So in the 70s, you could talk, race was free and easy. But the stuff about physical interaction between human beings, no, you couldn't talk about that. No, we were so repressed, couldn't talk about it. But she was on for 20 minutes and I asked her some stuff. I asked her all the proper journalistic questions. And I cut her off saying, oh, that must have been boring doing that. But, thanks very much for letting us know. Anyway, the phone lines melted. They literally melted. BT, or was it O2 at the time, in 1989, called the radio station saying, what's going on? We can't handle the volume of phone calls that's going into your radio station. Has something happened? Has somebody died? Do we need to know? And the security guard on reception just said, oh, no, it's the phone in. So anyway, that's a Friday night. What the station couldn't defend was me saying whoever invented the missionary position should be shot and how much she charged. So I was hauled over the coals on the Monday morning, and it was like, right, off you go. Enough. We can't defend that. It's 1989. You could get away with much, much worse now, and I have done. But off you go. Hauled across the coals, off you go. So a couple of days later, the press suddenly go, ooh, ooh. So it was on the Monday, it was in the Sun and the Mirror, the Mail, all the newspapers, all the dailies, all the red tops. Bless them. Must have been a quiet news day. But I was in all the newspapers, Mr. Smut on the radio, tremendous. But then the audience grab a hold of this and go, oh, GB Patriot, I know, Stanage, hero, big hero. I need to contact him, get him on here, because he's got so many stories. Let me give you this aside about James Stanage. Stanage was doing the phoning on TFM, and how can I put this? He said there was a particular radio presenter that was talentless, and this presenter sued him and won a couple of grand. The station had to pay it, obviously. But you know, Stanage was 30 years ahead of his time, because that same presenter has been sent to 18 years. 18 years for doing stuff with kids. Mark Page. So anyway, so the show goes on the Monday night. Somebody else presents it. And literally, they didn't get a single call about any other subject other than, where's Adrian? What you done? Where's Adrian? What you done? Where's he gone? Why's he gone? Where's he gone? And what had happened was, on the Friday, after I'd broadcast it on the Saturday morning, two people took a copy of the conversation off what we call the loggers, and a radio station has to log every single piece of their output. For legal reasons, they're told to by the people that oversee them, Ofcom. So you have to keep logging for 3 months, I think. Kevin Iverson, is it available on Listen Again? Somebody somewhere has got copies. They've got cassettes of it. I wish I could have I'd absolutely put it on here. Absolutely. Funny as. Groundbreaking. So on the Monday night, the presenter got it tight from loads of other people saying, where's he gone? What's going on? We're not happy. We're going to write to the management. And on the Tuesday night, exactly the same thing happened. The presenter couldn't do anything. All the calls came in and gone, where's Adrian? Where's Adrian? Where's Adrian? Wednesday night, exactly the same thing. Thursday night, exactly the same thing. And they were having meetings about what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. So that's why I think GB News are not saying anything. Because they don't want all that brown stuff hitting the fan. Because it will do. People will say, what's he gone for? Where's he gone? Has he been sacked? Has Dan Wootton been sacked? Straight question. Has Dan Wootton been sacked? James H. Reeve on Key 103 one night wanted to fight with the singer from Black Lace. Oh, tremendous. Tremendous. You see, today we've got YouTube Lives. We could go, right, put your gloves on, let's go in the garden. Let's see how many viewers that would get. But James H, had a few beers with him on a few of occasions, like parties and stuff, when I was at Rock FM and he was at Key. Steve, write that again. Steve, are you okay? Steve, let me tell you something. I'm not talking about me. I'm giving you an insight into the machinations of the mainstream media. I'm giving you an insight that you can't get anywhere else because you, sir, know absolutely naff all. So I'm telling you what's going on with Dan Wootton. And I won't be far away either. So I'm not talking about me. I'm trying to give you an insight in a way that you would understand, you thick, caring, understanding 90s type. Do you know, Steve, why don't we? James H. Reeve, what a great idea. Octagon, me and you. I'm an old boy. But you come on here and... Right, where was I? I was talking some sense. So that's what's to happen with Dan Wootton, and I will guarantee you it. Should we talk about the Middle East crisis, Steve? Should we talk about it? I would love to know your take on what is happening in the world. But you're not bright enough, are you, mate? You're not. All you'll do is point fingers at other people. You're not even man enough. God, can you imagine you being married to someone? Well, you can support anybody you want, Hayden. Man got sent down for 5.5 years. He's going to do 2.5, and he's then going to be on licence for another 3. And I know what flying monkeys are, but I also know what the law is. Yeah, Terry, he's gone, mate. That's what you do with buzzy things that annoy you. Yeah, I was talking about Greta Thunberg, the Doom Goblin. And then I wanted to give you an insight into how commercial radio works, or commercial TV if you're GB News, which are both technically. And we'll get to the Middle East crisis in a moment. But first, have you been following Captain Tom Moore's foundation and the interview that his daughter did with Piers Morgan, and then the defence of what she's done in the mainstream media? And now we find out that the Captain Tom Moore Foundation that raised, what, it was close on 40 mil, wasn't it? About 38, 39 million? He caught the zeitgeist. He caught the imagination of everyone in this country. Even the Queen knighted him. What a man. He was made of something very English. Very British, if you wish. But it was just at a time when we were struggling with things. We were struggling with being cooped up in our own homes. We didn't know what was what. We didn't know what was up or what was down, or how we were going to get out of this. The clowns in Clown World were simply not leading us effectively. Boris, he was more intent to impregnate his missus and dance about with, a Curie? Than actually look after us. So it was a very worrying time, and there was stoic Captain Tom Moore doing it for all of us. And, everybody donated, everybody wanted to be part of it. It was feel good. Exactly, disaster area. He was a good story in a bad time. That encapsulates it completely. A good story at a bad time. But his foundation that raised all that money did so much good for me, you, and everybody else. It's going to close. Seemingly, the Charity Commission are holding an investigation into it. Now, I know that his daughter Hannah, chief exec, she wanted 100 grand a year to be chief exec of this foundation. And the Charity Commission went, no, 85. And even then, that's too much. And they're now saying there's a conflict of interest with other businesses. Hannah Ingram Moore is Captain Tom Moore's daughter. And I'm not suggesting by any stretch that anything wrong has happened or illegal has happened, but the Charity Commission have held their investigation and will wait for their output. But the optics are not really good, are they? So she tried to justify £800,000 trousered. Thank you very much. 800,000. Well, from my dad's books, right? But within those books, they were saying that they were raising money for the foundation. Yeah, but my dad wanted me to have the money. Well, he's not here to confirm that, is he? But his books confirmed that it was meant for the foundation. No. £800,000. Mine. Thanks very much. She justified it by saying that Captain Tom wanted her to have it. Now, she's got a 50-foot by 20-foot spa. I mean, her house is worth 1.2 million. Nice. And then there's a spa that she built with, I presume, money from the 800,000. But the local council is saying, right, you can knock that down. You haven't got planning permission. Knock it down. You don't have planning permission. But it's the way that the media works. They've trotted out her daughters, her kids. They've trotted out the husband. She's said, can we stop this? This is getting a bit too much, when she was being interviewed by Piers Morgan. I mean, what did she expect Piers to do? What, give her an easy time? You've trousered nearly £1 million. And that spa, I mean, how can you build something and just not... Look, there's a story I told a dear friend of mine today. In the northeast of England, there was a farmer who built something on his land. On his land, owned that land, and had owned that land through generations of his family as a farmer. And then the local council said, oh, you can pull that down. We didn't give you planning permission for that. And he's like, no, it's my land. I can do whatever I want. And they turned up, enforcers, bailiffs, JCBs, and the old boy went, what are you doing with that? Oh, we're going to knock your building down. He said, no, you're not. This is my land. Get off my land. And they went, we're the council. We can do anything we want. He pulls a gun out and goes, I think you'll find you can't. And he shot one of the reporters in the hand and shot somebody else. Because the council thought that they would just pitch up and bully him. Oh, we'll just flatten it. But planning permission is planning permission, I suppose. Poor boy had to go to jail, was taken to court, arrested, charged. But he wasn't messing about. It was his land. Pulled a gun out. They had JCBs, no match. Yeah, I agree with that. P.T. Ham, there should have been something in a will by a solicitor. That's a fabulous point. And I do believe that this has all been his memory. A Sir, a Knight of the Realm, Sir Captain Tom Moore. His memory has been sullied. The greatness of the man has been sullied by his daughter and greed. Now, if I'd been, and anybody that grifts for money does weird things to people. And what should happen, what she should have done, she should have gone, look, I want to be completely transparent in this. We used this money for that and that money for that. My dad said he wanted me to have it from his books. They were his books. He wanted me to have the money. Now, there's no argument there. But the public are turning around going, greed's ruined this. And in the public's eyes, and that really is all that matters. It's not the court of public opinion at all. Because we were part of something, a great story, a good story in a bad time. And she's not really, I don't know what the money's done to her, but how long she been chief exec of that charity? Died, was it 2020 he died? Foundation set up shortly afterwards. So she's had 2 or 3 years of 85 grand a year. Nice. And 800 of them in your back pocket. 18 grand to turn up for a do that was for her foundation, or Captain Tom Moore's foundation, with Virgin. Virgin paid her 18 grand. What you got to do to earn 18 grand for one night's work? That's like Premiership football. Listen, a Premiership footballer wouldn't get paid that. Tower Block Tracy, in a 6-page document in June 2020, official probate papers showed his estate was split equally between his daughters Lucy, Hannah, and they split his 78,000 50-50. That's all Captain Tom had left, 78 grand. 50-50. What's that? 39 each? And yet, this is not the court of public opinion. This is people looking at her going, you did what? And you've built that? I mean, the locals are up in arms. They're not happy with what's going on. I mean, I wonder, Disaster Alex, she soiled our memory of his work. I agree completely. And it is quite upsetting. Because he was one of us. He was stoic. He was that great British gumption. He was the zeitgeist of the time, and everybody loved him. And what's she done? Right, okay, Terry, thank you. He died February 21, not 20. And Tailblock Tracy said his will was rewritten, Terry. Now, we all know people that do funny things when money's around. People will thieve it. People will be at it. They want it. Dame Hannah. Yes. Give the girl a break, Adrian. She did give £2,000 to the foundation out of the 18,000. Yeah, I bet it was a nice bottle of bully when she got home. But it's a bit like when there's been I don't know. Are you watching this this Maxine? I've got another story about that. This Maxine from Ian Huntley, Maxine Carr, and the Soham Murders. It's on Netflix. It's just landed, I think. It's number 2 in the top 10. Watched episode number 1 last night. When there's been a terrible travesty, or there's when there's been murders and terrible things and very dark things, they flatten the house. They get rid of it. They just stuff where terrible things have happened. They just flatten the house, so ghoulish people can't visit it and go, oh, look. So they're going to raise that spa so it's no more. They can't do anything to the house because she owns it, or rather the bank probably owns it. Rich says, Maxine is a hard watch. It's not very good. I watched the first one. Can I tell you this story? Because she's protected. Huntley's still inside. He's in HMP Franklin in Durham, according to what I've read. But Maxine is out on the streets, possibly changed her name and or possibly her appearance. But I was working for a radio station, and somebody called in and said, I've just seen Maxine Carr. Right. And I have to tell you, the Brown stuff really did hit the fan. There was all kinds of stuff that happened within minutes of that being broadcast. And I can't, that's really as much as I can say, but I just know, I know where she lives. I know how long she'd been living there. And she's protected by the state. So I can't give you, because I would end up in jail. There's no doubt about it. I would end up in jail. But it was just an innocuous call to one of my phone-ins. And they just blurted it out. I mean, that's why the phone-in that I want to do on on YouTube, there has to be certain protections. Don Wigley asks the question, hi Adrian, random question, but where do you get the theatre of the mind from? Theatre of the mind is an expression around radio, late night radio, because it's your imagination. It's what you imagine it to be. And everybody that will be listening to phone-ins, I mean, look, I'm an old boy now, but I was never a Chippendale. Interviewed them at City FM in Liverpool, which is another story and a half. But people would imagine me to either be 6 foot tall or 3'6", dark hair, blonde hair. It's imagination. Radio is your imagination. It is personal to you, and you decide how things are in your head. So it's the theatre of the mind. Late night radio is one of the greatest art forms there's ever been in the media. It's a wonderful thing. And you could, I've listened to some great practitioners in my time as a young boy growing up. James Whale at Metro FM, Alan Bezic came across, Stanage. I had the wonderful privilege of working with him and being friends with him. So that's where theatre of the mind comes from. It's audio. It's what goes on in your head while you're listening to the radio. It's as simple as that. I want to tell you there's another XL bully out of control. Yesterday, Norfolk caused a school to be evacuated and attacked a 60-year-old woman. 75 children between the ages of 5 and 11 had to be evacuated. This is XL bully attacks are almost a daily basis. Daily basis. I don't know whether we're going to get to grips with that. I know that they're going to go on the dangerous dogs list, but And I know that the police have the powers to euthanize any dog. Any dog out of control, they can euthanize the dog. And they just justify it by saying it was out of control. It's because once a dog bites, that's it, out of control. And you can't, I mean, sometimes they send the dog handlers there. Sometimes they might get a local council dog warden there. But if a dog loses it, smells blood, and is gone, police officers have the powers. They call the firearms chaps in, right? This is where we are. It's out of control. We can't get it. Dog handler's gone with their dog. The dog won't go anywhere near it. So they have the powers to euthanize the dog on site. If it's a threat to either themselves or members of the public, others, they can euthanize the dog. They have the powers. But how would society be if we were allowed to have the XL bullies or other dangerous dogs and the firearms or the police weren't allowed to deal with them when they're out of control? Junior Stevens, who was your favourite James Bond actor, Adrian? I bought, it was The Irishman. I bought The Irishman a pint of Guinness in a pub in London once. Oh, I'll have to come back to it. Connery was decent because he was the first, and then you had Moore, who was kind of okay. And then who was Pierce Brosnan. That's it, Pierce Brosnan. Just round the corner from the Barbican. I was working in PR, in public relations at the time, 96, 97, late 96, early 97, and they were filming one of the Bond movies on the roof of the building that I was in, this massive warehouse building, and they were filming on the roof. And he went, and I'll guarantee you, if you ask him, he'll remember. There was a pub at the end of the street, and I just said to the lads, "Oh, it's warm. Do you fancy a quick beer before we go home? It's London. Let's go for a beer." So we walked into this pub, and there's Pierce Brosnan standing at the end of the bar. There's James Bond. Now, DB7, my ultimate car. And I just thought, so I said to the barman, I know this is a bit weird, but do you mind if I can pay for a pint of Guinness for Mr. Brosnan, please? And there wasn't that many. There was only about half a dozen of us in the pub. So the barman, sure, pulls the Guinness, lets it settle, and takes it along. Pierce said thank you. He just kind of acknowledged the fact that I bought him a beer, and I was proper made up. I mean, it's random. It's not like I'd left radio for a little while. I'd left Rock FM and moved down to London for a few years. Yeah, Daniel Craig's a good one, Terry. I agree. And if Daniel Craig was in the pub, I would have bought him a beer as well. But just to say that I'd bought James Bond a pint of Guinness, oh, that'll go with me to my grave. So let's talk about the Middle East conflict. Because I think we should be able to have a tab block Tracy, Barry from Watford. I know Alex, who provided many of the character voices on the Steve Wright Radio 2 show and on Ian Lee's LBC show. And I think Alex also called one of my LBC phone-ins to utter the immortal line, "I've had me back doors bashed in." And I think I should have been a little bit more generous because it was obvious he was going to do a comedy thing, and I should have been a little bit more generous. And I always remember it. Yeah, Clinton Baptiste and Phoenix Nights. Is it true that Phoenix Nights is coming back? Peter Kay's sort of mooted it and said that it might be a film rather than a TV series. Oh, can you imagine? It's 20 years. So let's be serious for a moment. I want to talk about the Middle East. Because this is, and my take on this, on the crisis, is it's literally a PR war. There are some things that I don't understand. There are some things that I have questions about that I'm not too sure people will be able to answer. Because, as I've said, I've been to Israel a few times, and it's breathtaking. For me, Jerusalem is a magical place. I stayed in Ashdod. a couple of times. I've lain on that beach a few times, and I've been around as a fan of the Knight Templar. I was able to go to Accra, or Acre, if you want to pronounce it that way, to go to the other places that the Templars had forts, and it's a magical, beautiful country. Magical. I haven't really been around Tel Aviv because that's a bit too young and a bit too noisy for me. But Israel is breathtaking. The people are curious and interesting. They're not as warm as I thought they would have been. The Israelis are a complicated race. And you'll notice that I call them Israelis for a very specific reason. But I've had profound experiences in Israel, in Jerusalem and elsewhere. Profound. It's beautiful. I can't eloquate the impact and the emotion that Jerusalem and Acre and Caesarea, breathtakingly beautiful. I will never be able to eloquate the impact that country's had on my soul. And I've just been watching what's happening, because there are those of the Jewish faith, and from what I understand, there are different levels of Judaism. And this should not be about the Jews around the world. It should not be. These are peaceable, loving, warm, embracing people. That's why I differentiate between Jews and Israelis. But then again, in Jerusalem, I wanted to go to the Dome on the Rock, because that's both where the Christ ascended and that's where Muhammad ascended. I wanted to go. Al-Aqsa Mosque, I couldn't take the new Mrs. Allen with me because they don't allow women in there. So we didn't go in. Any place I can't go with my wife, I'm not going. But the Jewish faith, you wear, some people call them kippah, kippor, couple. They wear something on the crown of their head, on their crown chakra. And I'd gone to, you may know it as the Western Wall or the Wailing Wall or the Kotel, the wall in Jerusalem, the sacred place where the divine rests. I'd been there and I had my couple on. So we wanted to go to Al-Aqsa Mosque. We wanted to go onto the dome, the platform of the dome, which was, Knight Templar. And we go up there, and the Muslim soldiers, you have to go through security because they don't, international events happen. And I mean big, I don't mean events like going to see a concert and stuff. I mean where people disagree. And my couple was in Mrs. Allen's bag. And literally, we went through security. They had a look in her bag, and these Muslim soldiers saw that couple in her bag, and the gun was pointed in our faces. Are you going to pray? And I said, we're from London. We're not going to pray. We're here as tourists. You going to pray? Look, mate, I'll take it out of the bag if you want. I'm here to have a look. I've travelled thousands of miles. I'm a tourist. I'm not going to pray. But they were so concerned by that in the bag that they put the gun in our faces. Didn't mess about. So I also understand the Ashkenazis are. Rocky, what are you talking about? Sephardi, which is kind of North Africa and parts of Israel. Sephardi and Ashkenazi. The Ashkenazi Jews are normally European from Russia and the Eastern Bloc. But this is what I want to get to. At the moment, I'm looking at the news cycle and what is coming out of Israel and Gaza and Palestine and Syria and Egypt and all of the Middle Eastern countries, and also Ukraine, because we'll get to that in a second. And then we've had this mumbling, bumbling idiot be given a script, and he's gone to see Benjamin Netanyahu. So both sides in this war are trying to take the moral high ground. If you look at it's allegation against counter allegation, it's counter claim against claim. It's they are the terrorists, you are the terrorists, they are the terrorists, we are the terrorists, everybody's a terrorist. But I said to you in the last live, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. And now we've got the IDF, who seem to be the arbiter of truth, according to the mainstream media. And now they've admitted, an IDF spokesperson has admitted that they bombed the garage of the hospital. And then somebody else comes out, some other Israeli important person comes out and says, oh no, we didn't bomb the hospital. No. But that IDF spokesperson has just said, yeah, we bombed the garage. Now you've got to look at, don't look at this in isolation. Look at this with a wider context. It's a PR war, so it's online, and the online will have bots. It will have very clever technical people. I mean, Israel is supposed to have the premier intelligence, Mossad, world premier, the best intelligence. There's Benjamin Netanyahu. Technically, he's the king of the world at the minute. He's got an American president coming over, and there was Benjamin Netanyahu. So look at the money. Always, always, always look at the money. So about 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, America was trying to stop Biden giving Iran $6 billion. They were trying to stop them because they said, if we give Iran $6 billion, they're just going to fund Hamas and Hezbollah. Hezbollah's from Lebanon in the north. And there you've got 6 billion quid being trousered by the Iranians from the Biden administration just to get, so they swapped 5 detainees from each side. They swapped the 5 and then gave them 6 billion. And then 2 weeks later, the Americans are trying to say, oh yeah, well, Iran's got 6 billion quid. So they've obviously supplied Hamas with the missiles. Okay, I'll take that point. But what do we know? What is compelling about this situation? And I will tell you. Benjamin Netanyahu has asked Sleepy Joe Biden for $10 billion. What does he want with $10 billion? Now, Benjamin Netanyahu is in a bit of a hole because his people, the Israelites, are rebelling against him for his judicial reform. There were, for months and months and months, there have been demonstrations in Israel about Benjamin Netanyahu's trying to change the judiciary in Israel. To the point where this week there was going to be another demonstration around what Netanyahu was trying to do. So Benjamin Netanyahu knows that when this is over, this conflict, this crisis is over, he's done as a politician. The Israelites have had enough of him. So he's gone. So let me ask you, what does he want the 10 billion for? And how much will end up in his trouser back pocket? And why would I mention Ukraine in this conversation? Zelensky has been told that he's not allowed to visit Israel. Now, Ukraine, we know, is one of the most corrupt countries in Europe. It's not even in Europe, but they say it's in Europe, and it's corrupt. A laundromat for the West. So, $6 billion to the Iranians. And this is a country that's bankrupt. America, their debt is greater than their GDP, gross domestic product. But the only time that America's economy works is when they're at war. Oh, sorry, there's wars around the globe and it doesn't happen on American soil. So Egypt and Iran and Syria and some of the other countries around Israel, they're saying, we don't want to be part of this. We don't want this to escalate. So Israel has not invaded Gaza currently. Is it a land grab? Or is it about the 10 billion? Is it about the money? Or is it about taking revenge? And what about the Fourth Geneva Convention, international law? Is the world just going to stand back? Now, I will say this, that the murder of any Israel, babies, women, any human being, the loss of any human life is unacceptable. In any way, shape or form, unacceptable. And we as humankind should be able to say, enough. But this has been going on for 100 years. Is there ever going to be an answer to this? We don't want more children to die. We don't want more human beings to suffer on any side. But that's why I started this with, this is a PR war. Because they're not going to do anything unless they get good PR in the mainstream media. President Biden, I mean, surely they're not going to allow him another term. They can't. This man's a fool. I'll retract that. He's not a fool. He's very clever. This is a crime family. Hunter, blimey. How many millions have they made out of China and Ukraine? And also the mainstream media, what they're not telling you is that Vladimir Putin is visiting China on an official visit, or has been. Not one single newspaper has reported that. And Russia and China are solidifying their ties. And they're all saying, we don't want to be part of this, but you don't break the Geneva Convention. Whatever you do, don't break the Geneva Convention, international law. War crimes. So, an awful situation to find us in, not to mention Korea. Hayden, thank you. It's a bit like the landmines. So, the defence contractors manufacture the landmines and sell you the landmines. And then when the war's over, they come back and say, do you need us to clear the landmines for you? They get double bubble. They sell them and then they clear them and take them back. And here's the point that I wanted to say. So I've visited Israel. I know it quite well. I've stayed in Ashdod, which is a beautiful, beautiful place. And I've lay there on me back, sunning me wobbly bits in Ashdod, on Ashdod Beach. And whilst I've been lying on that beach, I've seen Israeli warplanes protecting Israel. I've seen them flying around, making sure that the Israeli borders are secure. Now, the one thing that I haven't been able to find an answer to, and Chris Mundy's put this very well, Adrian, the Israeli government knew this was going to happen. They needed it to happen. It's the most protected border in the world. Do people honestly think it wasn't detected? Egypt told Israel 10 days before the attack, something big's coming. You're going to be attacked. They did nothing. 3 days before the attack, Egypt again told the Israeli government and their intelligence services, you're going to be attacked. And nothing was done. So back to the fighter jets patrolling the borders. Israel is not that big. And whomever these terrorists were, Hamas, they were allowed 6 to 8 hours of freedom to do whatever they wanted and to kill whomever they wanted and attack whomever they wanted. Israel can have a fighter jet there within the hour. From the very north of the country to the very south of the country, a fighter jet can do it in less than 1 hour. So why were they allowed 6 to 8 hours in a Mumbai-style attack, a marauding attack on the Israeli citizens? That's a question that needs to be asked of Benjamin Netanyahu. Never mind the money. Why didn't you defend your own people and your border? And the border between Israel and Gaza? I mean, I know a guy that used to go down to Gaza from a place in Israel daily, had to carry a gun with him because it was pretty hairy, but he went down, didn't care. So why were these marauding attackers, Mumbai-style marauding attackers, allowed 6 to 8 hours of freedom to do whatever they want and kill anybody that they wanted? And also, the mainstream media. I don't have the journalist's name, but there's a female journalist that went into that kibbutz. She was one of the first in there. And it was her that said there'd been babies beheaded and babies burnt and murdered. And that was proven to be a lie because she said that the IDF told her. And then other journalists were saying, where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? We need pictures. Where's the evidence? And they went to the IDF and said, what did you tell her? And they said, we didn't tell her anything. But she said that you said that there was babies that had been beheaded. And they said, no, we didn't say that. And then they went to her and went, where's the evidence? I think I overheard it. This is fact. Fact. And now that, not the bit that she lied, and not the bit where the other journalists couldn't get the true story because she lied, but the story about the children in the kibbutz went around the world. A lie can go around the world 4 times before the truth can get its boots on. It's being quoted by, I saw an American mayor saying, these children that were beheaded and murdered. And I was thinking, hang on a second, that was a lie. That journalist lied. And it was proven. But that story that the journalist lied has not been promulgated in the mainstream media either. She said, I overheard it. And the IDF, a spokesperson for the IDF said, who was there at the time in the kibbutz, said, we never said that. So let's go back to what I said in the beginning. This is a PR war. It's not war as we know it. It's a PR war. And it's whomever has the best PR will seemingly win the war. If it is a war, it was Israel that called it a war first. Crisis for me. They've turned the water back on in Gaza today. But this is... I think personal emotions shouldn't come into this. I think the world is holding its breath. I think the world knows, and the world really wants both sides to... It's a religious war, if you want to term it that way. And I think both sides don't want this to escalate. They don't... Look, the defence contractors, they want a massive war in the Middle East. They want the Middle East war to last the next 20, 30, 40 years. So they'll make billions and billions and billions of dollars. We don't want that. As a species, what are we doing? In the name of what? I mean, we can say what we know, as Paul Flint says, World War III. We don't want it to escalate that far. But the Russians and the Chinese are watching. They're watching America. And the state of America, America is a busted flush. America is done. Politically, it's done. They've still not put that guy as the House Speaker. They had a vote, was it yesterday? Hang on, yeah, Tuesday. They had a vote on who they wanted as the House Speaker, and he didn't get enough votes. It's ruinous in America. Their politics is soiled and corrupt. And I'm sure there will have been a deal to say to Donald Trump, look, Donald, be House Speaker and don't run for president, because there's an evil in America that's trying to stop him from running for president, because everybody knows if he runs, he wins. Everybody knows that, including the political classes in America who want to keep control. Oh, they had another vote today and it still didn't get it sorted. Junior Stevens, we're thinking about doing daily news updates, but it's just about time. And but we are going to look at that, Junior Stevens. Thank you for your very kind words. So I'm not a praying man. I'm a Christian man. I believe in the goodness of human beings, unless you call Stephen, of course. So I hope and pray that there's no more death, there's no more destruction, there's no more unnecessary suffering for either side. And I told you this story the other night where my friend Anna, who's one of the BBC reporters, I've known Anna a long time, and her partner are some of my best friends. And she was in the north, and all of a sudden we were hearing, oh, Hezbollah have fired rockets into Israel from the north. Oh, it's on two fronts. Now it's Gaza and it's Hezbollah in the north from Lebanon. And Anna went on to the BBC and did her piece to camera and said, there are rumours that Hezbollah have fired rockets into Israel, and that's not true. And it's the fog of war. I've told you the first victim of war is the truth. It's the fog of war. And now we're into the fog of war. You will not find out anything unless it's been through their PR department. There's a lot of bots being operating on the net to stop things getting out that they don't want to get out. And let's just take a breath. Let's hope that, like the Cuban Missile Crisis, let's hope that the world does the right thing. The world understands and it does the right thing. And it does not allow this to escalate. But, you know, the people in the West are going to say, it's Iran, it's Iran, it's Iran. And please always look at what is happening in the world through this particular prism. Nobody has given you this. No one. But there are 6 central banks. The Chinese are struggling because their central bank is wobbling a bit. And it's the Rothschilds. They own all the banking. Once they've got all the banking, that's it. We'll go to digital currency and then they will control what you have and what you don't have. But there are 6 countries: Russia, China, Venezuela, Hungary, Iran. So all this, and Syria. So I think they're already in Syria, and I think they may have the central bank. But now, if they've got Syria, they just, Iran, that's all they're after. They don't care. They just want to have Iran's central bank. Please just watch it and know that whatever happens with Iran, that's what they're after. Nothing else. Not interested. That's all they're after. They'll get China and Russia eventually. China's wobbling a bit, but Iran's the one that they want. And it's their central bank that they're after. Not the Israelis, not the Gazans or the Palestinians. It's Iran. And if they turn around and say, Iran is doing this and Iran is doing that, and Iran is Iran, know that it's about the central bank. Mark my words, I might not be here by the time they get control of it. I might have shuffled off in 20 or 30 years. It might take them 40 or 50 to bring this all into one house. But we're only caretakers here. It's not for me and you. It's for those that come behind us, the generations that come behind us. There are some weak people that won't stand up to be counted, obviously. That's always the way. And we don't have to go on the front line with a gun. But if you know the answer, you can see the game that's being played. And that's my gift to you. I hold no agenda other than, and I'm not a tree hugger either by any stretch of the imagination, but you can see through this evil. And it is evil. I was going to go to your comments about Holly and all the other stuff, but I feel that because of that last 10 minutes or so, it wouldn't be right for me to be flippant about anything. The next live is going to be this coming Sunday at 8 o'clock. Please, we're getting to that time of the evening where can we get over 100 likes? We've got 154 people still watching. Thank you. But if you can smash the like button, I would really appreciate it. Muchly. My name's Adrian Allen. As always, thank you for your likes, your subscriptions, but most of all, your indulgence. I'll see you with more videos tomorrow. We've got a couple of things that we're going to do in the morning. Nicola Zedek. Thank you for that, Scarlett Pimpernel. Nicola Zedek. Nicola Zedek. That was the journalist that went into the kibbutz and lied. Google her. She lied. Nicola Zedek. Don't forget the Bat and Bogue for Sunday. Don't forget to smash the like. And we've got some bits and pieces we're going to upload in the morning. Hope you've enjoyed this tonight. Thank you. I'll see you with a cup of hibiscus and a little Battenberg on Sunday. Yeah, wrong. Oh, by the way, for those that really enjoyed seeing up my nose on Wednesday, I'm not going to stop this until I've managed to copy your comments, and then I can stop this in good time. So thank you very much. Enjoy your evening. Enjoy it with whomever you are with, and I'll see you on Sunday night at 8 o'clock.